Hey guys, it's Carson Miller Tech here, back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be checking out the brand new boosted beams. So if you don't know what they are, or maybe you do know what they are, just a quick little summary of what they are, is they are rear and front headlights that can go natively onto any boosted board made within the last couple of years. There are accessory wires that are on each of the newer boosted boards that run beneath each of the trucks, and you may not have noticed them before, but they are there, and they're there for a reason, because Boosted Board foresaw making a product like this. So in this video, I'll be going over a quick little unboxing, installing these, and then also giving you my opinion of whether or not I think that these are worth it for the hefty price tag that they have at this current moment. They may go down in the future, but as of right now, it is a little bit absurd how expensive these are, but it may be worth it to you depending on if you are a Knight Rider or not. So with that being said, let's jump right into the unboxing. So taking a look here on the outside of the box, you will get a couple of key points about the beams, what's included here on the side, and then on the back, you'll get more information about the beams itself. But I'm not going to read through that. You can pause the video if you really want to see that. So I'm just going to pop it open, and immediately here you will see that it points you to an installation video, but I will be doing exactly as it shows in that installation video, so stick around on this video and I'll show you as well. So opening it up, you will see you get both of the lights. First off, this is the front light, which has a 600 lumen output combined between both of these lights, so you will have a very bright headlight, and this is just the connector that connects in with the accessory port that is on the bottom of the boards. The rear light is much smaller. This does not have as high of a light output, but that isn't the biggest of deal because it is red, so you will still be seen anyways, and it's not as crucial to have the brightest backlight as it is to have a bright front light. It also comes here with a USB-C to mini USB, and then also you get some brackets here. After looking at that, that is all you will find in the box. Now that we've looked at that, I'm going to get right into the installation. So for this installation, it's pretty simple. All you need is your board, of course. You're going to need the boosted beams, and then also, of course, the skate tool that you've got that came with your board. So to perform the installation, I'm going to begin with the rear, because I will go a little bit more in depth with that, and then I will move on to the front. The rear is the more difficult installation part of this, but once you get to the front, it is simpler. But as far as the rear goes, you're gonna have to loosen all the 4 bolts here, 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 and here. They are hidden at this point in these ones, but remove these. So once you've got all that removed, you're going to want to carefully lift up on the rear truck, and you lift backwards. Boosted does recommend that you disconnect the cables for this part of the installation, but I'm just going to skip over that because plugging these back in is a pain in the butt. So just carefully remove them out of the clips like so, and lift up on the piece. So Boosted, for some reason online, does not show anywhere what bracket you should use for each board. So I'll just tell you now, the Boosted Mini series should use this bracket right here, and this is the one with the disconnect in the middle here where the cable goes. It's like that on the factory bracket as well. And then if you are installing on a longboard, you should be using this bracket right here, which does not have that breakaway in the center. So what you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to remove the end of the accessory cap. Leave this foam piece right here. Boosted states that numerous times that you're going to want to make sure you include that and do not remove this. So after removing the cap here, all you're going to have to do is tuck this into here and make sure the existing wire is poking up through the center piece here. And then go ahead and plug in the back. You'll be able to tell that you're plugging this in correctly because there is a notch here, so make sure you look on the back of your plug. Then make sure that the barcode is facing upward. You're gonna need to wrap the cable around like so. It is a very tight fit, but as you can see here, this is what that should look like. And then I have this rubber piece right here, which is a vibration dampening rubber. You won't have it on your boosted board because it was a third-party accessory, but I'll be placing that between here. So now that I've got all this together, I'm gonna make sure that everything fits by pushing the bolts up through the bottom. Everything should fit, but it is very tight, so Just make sure everything fits as it should. Tuck everything down, put your trucks back, put all the 4 bolts back onto where they were prior. And then finally put the cables for the motors back into place. And now I'm going to be installing the front light. So as far as this piece goes, once again, you've got this style of piece here, and the difference between the two that they provide is one has this wedge style shape, which is the same as this one here, and then the other one does not. So this one is for the longboards, and this one is for the boosted minis. The way that you place this down is you place it facing up with this slant right here. You want to face that up. Same deal here. Leave the foam here. Do not remove that. Take off the cap. Then the reason why this is here is because this wire here needs to go right into here. So before doing that, you're going to want to make sure again that you line these up and then plug them in. There you go. And then you put your truck back on. So once everything's installed, now is for the moment of truth. Just turn on your board, and when you first turn it on, you won't see anything. And this is for a couple of reasons. First of all, you haven't turned it on for the first time, but also secondly, it may be because you haven't updated your board. So you're gonna have to go and make sure that you have updated your board. You will know if you've done so by if you see this little light icon here on your phone. But if you don't, you're gonna need to go to settings, then check for vehicle updates. But for me, now that I've ran the firmware update, all I gotta do is press the button right there, and look at that. Got both headlights and tail lights. So aside from using the app, you can also go and turn these on and off by using the remote controller. All you gotta do is double click, and as you can see, the lights turn on and off. So I have been daily driving, or rather daily riding, the boosted beams now for over 2 weeks since I last showed you the installation of them. So with my 2 weeks of using these beams, I now have some ideas of some of the pros and cons of getting lights like these. So I'm now going to be getting into those while also talking about the functionality of the lights at the same time. So starting off with the pros, I do have to say that the fact that you can see at night in the dark with these bright of lights is fantastic. And the lights really are hard to tell through video how bright they really are, but these lights are insanely bright. That is good because especially the forward-facing lights, you do want them to be bright. I feel like the back rear light is adequate and you don't need a bright light in the back. It's just enough for people behind you to be able to see you, and it is red, so it's more noticeable. So that is great. A second pro involves that rear light, and I just love the fact that it has that integration with the controller. So when you are slowing down or reversing, it will change the light to be a little bit brighter than it is at its static state. So that is fantastic if you're on a bike lane or something like that and you've got people behind you, then you don't have to worry about them not knowing that you're slowing down, because that brake light will allow them to see that, and that's just always fantastic. And that's something that you can use even in the daylight. This isn't something that you can just use at night. I mean, the light won't be as bright in the daylight, but it is something that you could still have on and people will still be able to tell that you're slowing down. So it's just overall a great aspect of having these boosted beams because they're so integrated with the board. A third pro that I've got here is absolutely the app. The app is phenomenal in how it integrates the functionality of those beams into the app. It's fun to like mess around with it because you can go and turn it on and off your beams, which is great. And you can also go and adjust the brightness. You can change if you want the lights to blink, which is something that I'll talk about a little bit later. And then also you can adjust if you want the lights to always be on every single time you turn on your board, because you don't always need the beams. So it's nice and it's quick and easy to turn them on as well. So something you may not think about when getting these beams that adds some great functionality is the fact that there is that USB-C port on the side of the front light. So this is fantastic for being able to use your built-in boosted board's huge battery, and it allows you to charge both the remote controller, which is what that cable I was unsure of in the box earlier is used for. That is a cable, so then you can go directly from USB-C into your remote controller, or you can honestly plug in any USB-C device, whether it be a phone or maybe even like an iPad, something like that. You can plug it in as long as you've got a USB-C cable for that device. So it's fantastic having that port built in, and I really enjoy having it there. It's not something that I use all the time, and I've only used it once, honestly, so far in the 2 weeks that I've had it. But for the circumstances that you're out riding your board and you're getting low on battery and you're not sure about your remote controller, you don't have to worry anymore because you can plug in your controller into your board and not have to worry about not being able to go anywhere if your controller dies but your board is still full of charge. Lastly, the biggest pro with these lights is obviously the fact that they are built right into your board now. So it is just amazing not having to worry about batteries and charging separate lights and turning on those separate lights. Like, you don't have to worry about any of that anymore. You will always have these lights on your board, and you're always 2 clicks away or a click on the app away from turning them on and off, which is just fantastic. It's great having them there because for the times where you're out in the dark and maybe your batteries of other lights have died or something like that, you don't have to worry anymore because these lights will stay on and they're incredibly bright. So it's nice to have that. Also, I do have to say that through the time that I've been using the beams, I have not noticed any dramatic drain in battery or anything like that. Because they are LED lights, you don't have to worry about a huge drain in battery, which is fantastic. So the boosted beams honestly do have so many pros, and the pros vastly outweigh the cons. But moving into some of the cons that I've experienced when using the beams, first of all, that USB-C port that I was talking about earlier, it's great, but I don't know how great it's going to be 6 months from now or a year from now because the cover that covers that is a very poor rubber cover, and I just do not have confidence at all in that thing keeping water out and dirt out of the port because even in the 2 weeks that I've used this, I have found that that cover comes off so frequently. I don't know what Boosted could do differently here. Maybe they could put like a little bit of a latch or something. I don't know, but it's just not very reassuring at how that rubber piece covers that port. So I am worried for in the future as far as if that port will still function, because if any water gets in there really, you may be done because it will likely rust some of the components in the connectors. So I don't know. In future iterations, I hope Boosted fixes this in some way. I don't know how exactly, but hopefully they find a way to make the cover a little bit better because it's just not reassuring. So another thing that is not really that big of a con, but is something that I would like to see in a future update or firmware update, is the ability to change how fast the blinking occurs on the lights. Because as you can see right now, it is blinking at a decent speed, but maybe you want it to blink faster, maybe you want it to blink slower. I know there may be points where it will, affect the life of the LED itself if you're blinking it so much, but maybe Boosted Board could at least integrate a little bit of variation so you could just adjust it like you do the brightness and you wouldn't have to worry about the blinking being the default blinking. There's nothing really wrong about the blinking, but I don't know. I would prefer maybe even the blinking to be a little bit longer. So like when the light is on, it's just a little bit longer and then it turns off. Longer, off. Stuff like that. So another con that I've found with having these beams on your board is something you may not really think about, but when you have these lights at such a low level, it does implement some variations of how you actually see the terrain you're riding on. So if you're riding on a sidewalk, for example, which is where I find myself riding this most commonly, the light going and reflecting off of the concrete in front of you at such a low level introduces some shadows that kind of look like you're gonna hit some big bumps at times. So it makes you think that you're gonna come up to something that will likely make you fly off of your board, but in all reality, it's not really anything. It's just flat, but there's like a little divot in the ground, which doesn't do much at all, but because the light is down so low, it makes those shadows look like very scary big bumps that you're about to hit. It may take a little bit of time to get used to that, but again, it just kind of affects your riding just a little bit, but not that huge of a deal. So the last con here is something that you're probably thinking of yourself and is most people's concern when thinking about the beams, and that is the price tag of them. Currently on February 15th of 2020, these beams do cost 200 United States dollars, and that is a pretty hefty price tag, especially when you consider that you've already paid $1,000 for your board. So it's not something that's super wallet friendly, but when taking into consideration all the pros of the fact that you've got that integration, you've got never having to worry about charging batteries of separate lights ever again, you've always got them on you, and so many other things, I really do think that having the beams does outweigh that initial cost, because it just overall improves your rides, especially at night, and it just allows you to have a safer ride because people around you can see you and you can see in front of you and stuff like that. So with that being said, that is pretty much it for all my pros and cons as far as the beams go. So that's pretty much it for this video. I will definitely be having more future videos about the Boosted Mini because I have a couple ideas in the backlog. So if you're interested in more content like this, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Let me know that you liked this video by clicking the thumbs up button, and also check out my other videos by clicking up there or down there. But with that being said, that is it for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.